many hours. I know Tom is aware of that, as well as Dorinda and Allison has seen me in here previous weekends working on other projects now that I'm assigned. If I can respond to Jerry's comments, yes, we didn't use Hilton, Farncroft, and Hobson for the rate adjustment surcharge previously, but when you get to dealing with the city of Fort Bragg on rate surcharge issues in the past, I wish I would have had some backup from Hilton, Farncroft, and Hobson. In terms of rate adjustments and rate reviews, I did use Hilton, Farncroft, and Hobson to go through the rate request applications and paperwork to help me understand whether the cost assumptions that were being made were reasonable enough. I think what Howard is trying to express to you is you have a staff that's stretched very thin, that's working very hard on other priorities that you've assigned. I do not have time available to be able to be a full-time consultant or even more than a limited consultant to your solid waste division. I know Howard and I have spoken this in the past. I'm just saying some truths here. We are working on, I'm assigned to other projects. I do my best to help out and advise, but I work this weekend and I worked previous weekends preparing so that Jim and I could be in Sacramento yesterday trying to lobby for a bill. So to be told that that we're not putting in enough effort or that we need to put in more effort, I find, I don't know, I'm bewildered. So I don't know what to say. I think that we have used this consultant in the past. Scott is doing a good job, as Howard said, but he doesn't have the 14 years of experience that I did have. And I have to tell you, when you go over and deal with your partners in Fort Bragg, it's a lot more difficult than it sounds like here in Ukiah. You have a very challenging situation with your partner in Fort Bragg.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Mr. Miller.
Mr. Chairman, I was hoping to make this a little easier, pointing out that we do receive the $7,000 contract administration fee from the solid waste, the Willits, for their Willits transfer station. That would more than cover the $5,300 that the consultant is requesting. I guess the county could just put that money in its pocket. However, my intention in pointing that $7,000 out is so that's where the money comes from. It comes from SWOW for these kinds of purposes. So the $5,300 for the fuel surcharge review, I think, could easily come from that source, which I assume that's what it was there for in the first place. And we've received that money several years, and we have not always retained the consulting firm. So this one year we are retaining the consulting firm, and I think this is an appropriate use for the money. If you wanted to restrict the study to just the fuel surcharge of the Willits transfer station, I think our partners in the city of Willits and the city of Fort Bragg would appreciate that. I think that's the kind of information they're going to be looking for, is that sort of professional municipal management cost review. So I just offer that as an alternative.
Okay, thank you. Mr. CEO.
I concur with Scott's comments. I've sat in with Kendall and David in the Fort Bragg meetings, and it started off very calmly. I thought we were going to reach agreement on a number of issues fairly quickly. Those meetings have gone on and gone on. I've stopped attending because it simply is a time consumer. It's been extremely difficult to please the city and what they've wanted to do with solid waste. They're looking to reduce their costs, and they're holding our feet to the fire. And I certainly think that no matter what answer we come up with, it's going to be difficult for the other two partners to swallow. Ross is going to be leaving the city of Willits soon. I think we need to get at least this piece of the puzzle done as quickly as possible and move on. we have subcontractors that are losing money every day. The sooner we resolve that issue, the better. So my recommendation would be direct the DOT director to sign a contract for that first piece, so we can get that off the table and really be successful with the three parties and with solid waste of Willits.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Supervisor Pinches?
I don't think we need to confuse this issue. This is strictly a request for a rate increase just on a fuel surcharge. It's not about all the issues with Fort Bragg, Willits, and the county on all of the solid waste issues. Let's talk about what the issue is here. This is strictly a rate adjustment for fuel. I don't think any council member on any of our neighboring cities is going to protest or deny that there hasn't been a drastic increase in the amount of diesel fuel. I don't see this being as a controversial issue. It's coming up with I don't know what the rate request is, but all we need to review that and see if that's fair and equitable. That's a simple, I don't think it takes a $20,000 bill to do. I mean, let's keep the issue what the issue is here.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Back to the issue. I think that we ought to heed the CEO's advice on this. We've gotten it down to the 5,300. My reading of the budget summary is it says it's budgeted. We're not talking about a new allocation. Mr. Miller just stated that we get the fees for this express purpose. I mean, contrary to how it appears to me we're doing business, some of our city partners actually do a professional process. There's a professional city manager, there are council members that are going to demand information. And Supervisor Pinches, it's not that anyone's going to argue that diesel hasn't gone up in cost. That's not it. But the way they do their decision making, it's based on, professional data. It's based on an analysis that they can explain to their constituents. They can discuss among themselves a professional, data-driven way that you make a decision. So I think that it would be good if the Board of Supervisors sort of embrace that. I mean, we've spent so much time on this trying to argue about, I think just common practices in most counties about how you conduct business. And if we're not going to go down the path, if the board can't see its way to supporting the 5,300, I think it's going to drag it on. I think it's in Mr. Ward and Solid Waste of Willits' interest to also do this. I think it's in everyone's interest to do this. We get the contract signed, we get on with it, so we can come to some resolution of the issue. If we're not, then I really want to have the CEO list to us in writing what things this group is not going to do when they're conducting this business. If the Board of Supervisors is going to put this to the top of the agenda, there are going to be some things they're not doing. And I'd like to know what they are, and I would like it in writing. I want to know what tasks they're going to have to stop doing in order to do this. This is a clear contractual situation. I appreciate that if they feel they can waive these other things, they can not address them, whatever they're going to do with those other issues. We need to get the one that Mr. Ward is interested in addressed. And if it costs $5,300 to do it, let's get on with it.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Delaware?
Well, just a quick point, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Mitchell, if the cities of Willits and Fort Bragg want to pay the bill, I'm all for it. I won't have any problem. You can tell them I don't object to that. If they want to spend their money on it, that's fine. If they need that extra level, feel free.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Pinches?
Well, this issue has to be moved forward. I mean, the companies can't, you can't expect them to haul any product at the same rate when diesel was $2 a gallon. So in order to move this along, Mr. Chairman, I would support the expenditure of the $5,300. Will the consultant do that? Maybe
Yes.
they don't want to work for us for under $20,000.
I wanted to bring it all to you because I didn't want to piecemeal